As the first weekend of summer's arriving, so are the warnings about heat and pets. Senior Humane Law Enforcement Officer Dan DeRamo is here with ways to keep your four-legged friends safe, especially in this heat. Good morning, Officer DeRamo. So tell me, first of all, who we have here. This is Suds McKenzie, but what's his situation?
Well, Suds is on hold in a cruelty case right now involving him being left out in the heat.
Okay.
He's in a foster home right now while he recovers from heat stroke.
You told me the story earlier. We're going to get into it a little bit more, but it's horrible. Now he's laying here. He seems to be pretty much well, but you're saying he's still getting blood work.
Yeah, he's actually receiving daily fluid injections. He's on a special food medications to try to mitigate the effects of the heat stroke episode that he had about 2 weeks ago, to try to prevent any permanent damage to his body.
Okay, now I will say he is the absolute sweetest dog. Unfortunately, he got stuck in a horrible situation. He's so sweet, he's so happy, he's very loving. Tell me what happened. How did you guys find him, and what was going on in this heat case? Well,
we came upon Suds. Actually, the Metropolitan Police Department saw him tied up in a parking lot. It was a 90-some degree day. The heat index was pushing 100. They saw him in obvious heat distress, just randomly pulled into the parking lot. Suds collapsed in the parking lot. The police officers carried him into a laundromat, and it was through their quick action to start the cooling process in the laundromat that really Suds is with us now. Suds was completely unresponsive. Animal control and officers with HRA showed up to assist, and we were able to rush him to an emergency hospital where he spent over 5 days receiving life-saving treatments.
Wow. So he's still dealing with some stuff. So now you mentioned they cooled him down. They took him to a laundromat to cool him down. Talk about some of the things, some of the ways you can cool your dog down, and what some of the warning signs are if your dog's getting overheated.
Well, the warning signs that your dog is becoming overheated is, I mean, you're normally used to the way your dog pants, but if you see sort of excessive panting, the tongue really hanging out, him breathing really, really hard, that's a sign that he's kind of pushed in the limits. Excessive salivation, slobber all over the place. If he's starting disoriented and wobbling around, that is, now you are beyond the point of
so pretty obvious signs once it gets to that point.
Right.
How do we cool them down, though?
The best way to do it is to cool them down slowly. You don't want to dunk them in a vat of ice water.
Kind of like under the armpits.
Yeah, the pads of the feet, the groin area, the ears, places like that.
Where you see like flesh and not as much fur.
Using rubbing alcohol is a good way to cool off those parts, because it evaporates.
I didn't know that.
If you ever get a shot on your arm and it feels really cool,
that's a good
does
idea.
the same thing for them. Cool water, not ice cold water. Cool water and a fan is best. If you see the dog acting that way, you need to start the cooling process, but you also need to get him to an emergency hospital.
Okay, now if you see a dog in a heat situation, obviously call one of you guys, call the Humane Enforcement, and also hot cars really quickly, because we're almost out of time. Talk about leaving your dog in a hot car. Obviously, don't do it.
Right. People don't understand how quickly it gets too hot in a car. There is no appropriate amount of time to leave your dog in a car on a warm day. Cracking your windows does nothing. It does not in a vehicle that's not moving. It doesn't create any air exchange. You have stagnant hot air in the car, the dog panting, becoming dehydrated, and it just the situation escalates exponentially. It just gets worse by the second.
So just don't do it. So don't put your dog in a hot car. That is the absolute worst situation that you guys could see. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
We're going to help Suds get back to health, too. What a sweet dog. NBC4 is proud to help clear the shelters every year. There he is. He's so sweet. This year's event will be August 19th. If you're interested in adopting a pet, we have resources on the NBC Washington app and Suds. He's in a foster home right now, but of course, we'll be keeping up with him and the Humane Rescue Alliance. Thank you so much for being here. And everybody, keep your dogs cool as we go through the hot summer months.